Hey, Joe here from Home Studio Corner. If you've listened to any of my recent music, you know I love to use background vocals. Having done hundreds of background vocal tracks over the years, I've developed a quick and easy system for mixing them that I want to share with you in this video. Here's a song I just wrote last week, and as you can imagine, I incorporated some background vocals into the production. The way I tend to record them is in pairs, so this is essentially 4 parts. I recorded each part twice and panned them left and right. So the first part is this. Second part is this, added to it. Third part. And fourth part is kind of an echo towards the end. Those loop do the same thing, and I use that as a loop over and over throughout the song. Now, if you listen to that by itself, it's pretty muffled, right? I actually use the microphone that I'm talking into right now, but everything layered together, there's just a lot of mid-range happening. Drop that into a mix, and all you're going to hear is... You're not going to hear what's happening. What we want out of background vocals, at least what I want usually, is nice crisp top end and a little bit of fullness, but not too much, so that I can hear it over the top of everything else happening in a very dense mix. And I'll show you what this sounds like in the mix at the end of the video, so stick around. So the first thing you got to do is take all of your background vocals and bus them to a bus. So we've got a bus here called ahs. So everything's going through this fader and these sets of plugins. Next, pull up a compressor and an EQ. I've got 2 built into one here. Any will do. First thing I do is get a nice smooth sounding EQ. So I switch over to something that's more like an LA2A, and I just have it just kind of smushing it consistently. No real science here. I just get it to where this needle's back over here somewhere and it sounds good to my ears. So let's do that now. Kind of bring the quieter parts, the ends of the notes and stuff like that, where there's a cool vibrato thing happening. You lose that unless you have some compression to bring that up. So that's great. I don't spend more than like 10 seconds on that part. Next is the bigger part. We're going to use this EQ. This is a 4-band EQ. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to boost the top end, and we're going to grab the mid-range and bring it down somewhere in here. If it's still too beefy, we'll take this low shelf and turn it down even more. So let's do that in that order. We'll do the high mids, really just the highs, the low mids and the lows, and see if we can get it sounding nice. It's pretty close, still a little thick in the low end. I'll bring this one down. Sounds lovely to me. That's the kind of tone that I hear in my head when I'm singing these. So they went from sounding like this to sounding like this. Obviously the EQ added volume. I don't care. Sounds beautiful to me. We're still missing one more piece of the puzzle, and that's reverb. I love to use a plate reverb on stuff like this. So in my mix template, you may have seen this before, I've got just a stock reverb plugin set to a plate setting with a big, long, almost 7-second tail, which is awesome. The most important thing to keep it from being muddy is to have an EQ after it that has a high pass filter set to 200 hertz. So it's rolling off all the muddiness that tends to happen in EQs. That's sitting in my template just waiting for me to use it. So all I got to do is click that button on and turn this up, and we get some glorious, beautiful reverb. Now you may think, Joe, that's far too big of a reverb. No, it's not. It creates this cool ambient feel, and you don't need tons of it. I think right about here works well, but it adds this space and sort of mystery around the background vocals. And if you're curious about the routing, I've got all of those channels, the reverb and the bus, going to kind of my master background vocal bus here. So that's it. Takes less than 30 seconds to set that up and works for me every time. Now, occasionally you want them thicker. Occasionally you don't want them to be quite as airy and bright. Then just adjust the EQ accordingly. But this works for me. I've done it hundreds of times. Try it on your next vocal mixing session. I think you'll like it. Now, as promised, I'll let you hear what this sounds like in the context of the whole mix. It's not mixed, we're not even done recording, but you'll get an idea of what's going on here. By the way, if you like mixing tips like this, you will love my 5-step mixing guide. Go to 5stepmix.com and get that for free right now. That'll also get you signed up to my daily email list, which is a blast to be on. Love to have you there. And that's it. I'll let this be the background music. See ya.